So hello guys, welcome to JavaisAwesome, and in this video we are going to talk about dependency injection using a constructor and method. Okay, so let's see about what is the dependency injections and what is the benefit of it and how we can use it. Okay, so dependency injection is basically, if you say here, is a design patterns. It's one of the patterns you can see in a software engineering that allow you to provide a dependency, external object or services by a class rather than having a class create them itself. Okay, it means that the class will not create directly object of that. We can pass from somewhere and then he can use it. Okay, the prompts it's promoting a loose coupling. Prompts is a loose coupling between the component and make code more modular and testable. There are various ways to implement dependency injection, including constructor and method. Let us explore both the approach, how we can go with the constructor and how we can go with the methods. So if you see here, we have a constructor injection. Okay, involves parsing a dependency through a classes constructor. So whenever you pass the object with the help of the constructor, you can say that is called a constructor injection. When creating an instance of the class, here is the example, user service class depends on the user repository class, and the dependency is injected through the constructor. So this is the user service we have designed here, and this is the user repository which is designed here. But the problem is user repository having a one method called get user by user ID, right? And logic to retrieve user from the database, return new user placeholders, right? So what we have done is here we want some of the logic. For example, we have a one user service, and inside the user service we have created user repository as an object, and we have not initialized it. Okay, as of now. Later, with the help of the constructor which is available in the user service, we have initialized the user repository, and then after we have called the get user method, we have passed user ID, and then we can get the data, which is user repository data. Understood? I hope. But let's explain with the code. So I'm going with to our Eclipse. Okay, and here I'm going to create one class. So here I have created one test class. Okay, inside the test class I will create one main methods. Okay, and after the main method, what can I do is I have to create one service which is user service. So let me create it. Okay, so I need user service, so I will write user. Okay, my system is little bit slow. Classes is created. Okay, what we have to done is here we have to create one constructor which is user service, and you have to take the object of the repository. But for that we have to create one repository class. Okay, and this repository name is user repository. User repository I have given. Okay, and inside the user repository what we have is we have a one method which is public. Okay, and it will return a user. Okay, get user by ID. Okay, this is the method is available inside this. What we can do is he will send one user ID which is maybe the string type. Okay, user ID. Okay, and maybe the integer type you can say. So this is the, for example, integer type, and we have a one map already, so we can create one hash map. Okay, and hash map having a key value pair, so one is integer and one is user. Okay, so for that we have to create a user class also. So I have created one more class which is user. Okay, right, and user having a like ID, so private int user ID. Okay, private string username, private string email. So this is the some basic details I have taken, and also I have to generate some getter setter for that and constructor also. So I will provide first getter setters, select all, generate the getter setters, along with I will provide one constructor. Okay, and constructor which is parameterized I can take first. Okay, so through the constructor also we can create the object, or normally also we can provide, but I'm not giving it as of now, and we can create two string. for printing the data, right? So our user class is ready. What I have done is in the map, so this is the user map we have, and here having all those user. So this is the hash map which we have created, and here I'm going to put some of the users. Okay, so what we can do is we have a one method, okay, which is going to add users. So publics, okay, and void add user. We have a methods, and the people will pass the user object, okay, which is users, and what we can do is we can store those inside the map, right? So what we can do is we can call user map, okay, dot put, and through the put we can read user dot get user id, and here we can put users. So through that we can add the user inside this classes, and then after, okay, then after what we can do is here we have a one id. So for reading the users, what we can do, we can write map, okay, map users. So I will write here map dot user map, not map directly, it's user map dot get method we can use, and here we can pass just key, which is user id, okay, and based on this user id it will return one user object, so we can return it here. Let me format it, okay. But right now our map is empty, so what we can do is we are going to call this method from the user service, okay. So in the user service we have a user repository, so here we can create private user repository, okay, and user repository, okay. But we have not, but user service does not have an object right now to call the user repository. So what we can do, we can provide one constructor which is public, okay, and public user service, okay, and through the service we can take user repository, okay, which is user repository only, okay. And once we got, what we can do is we can write this dot user repository equal to user repository, correct? So our object is created. Now what we can do, here we have to add some user, okay. So that time what we can do, we can write a method, okay, publics void add users, and through the users the people will pass one users, okay, user object. And what we can do is here we can take the help of the user repository, okay, dot add users, and we can pass the user basically. So this is the things we have to do, okay. But where is dependency injection? So dependency injection, it means the user repository, okay, is one of the target class, okay, and this user service is a dependent class of the user repository. So until user service will not get the object of user repository, we can't do work on that, because we can get null pointer exception if you call directly it, okay. So before going to call, you have to check also if user repository is not equal to null, then only we can call this method, otherwise no, we can't call it. Got it? So it means the user service is dependent on user repository, and once we got the object of the user repository, then only we can call add user method, otherwise no. We have a one more methods which is giving the user. So public users get users, we have a methods, okay, get users and get users by id, okay, and here they will pass int user id. Once you pass the user id, what we can do is we can call here return, okay, user repository dot get user by id methods, okay, that's it. But before going to the call this method, you have to check this one is null or not. So this only things 1 2 3 lines, this code is only called a constructor dependency injections, okay, dependency injection with the constructor. So this is the user service constructor. We are initializing with the help of the constructor some other classes, and then after we are using it. Okay, let's go to the test classes, and inside the test classes create a object of the user service. Okay, so once you create the user service equal to new user service. Okay, but here you have to pass the object of repository. So what we can do, directly we can pass the object also, otherwise you can create and then we can pass. So I'm going to pass here direct object, which is new user repository. Okay, new user repository. I have created the object and I have passed it. Okay, and then after, whatever the method having a user service, I will call user service dot add users, and here I will add the users, and while adding a users I have to create object of users. So I will write new users, and we have a constructor, so we can pass here 1001. Okay, name as a prince, and Gmail as a prince @gmail.com. correct? So this is added, and then after, if you want to read, so what we can do, we can call again user service dot get users by id, and we can just pass here id 1001. It will return one object, and those object you can store in one user class, okay, as a user, and then after we can print it. Okay, let me do that in 1 minute. We can do no. So that is the part only called a dependency injections by a constructors. Okay, and this is nothing but users. Okay, and what we can do, we can write s out, and we can print user dot toStrings. Okay, let me run this class, which is test class, so that you can see the output. Okay, so if I maximize it, you can see here user output. Okay, what is the users? User is 1001, name prince, and this is the email ID. So here the dependency injection is this part only, creating a object, new object, and passing with the other class constructor, that is called constructor injections. So in the user service, what we are doing, we are has a relation we are performing with the constructor, and then after we are initializing it with the help of the user service constructor, and we are passing dynamically user repository, and then after, once we store here object we got, and then after whatever the method you have, you can call it easily. So it will call corresponding user repository. Correct? That is called a, this part is only called a constructor injection. Got it? Okay, nice. Let's try to understand what is the method injection. So I'm going to create one more class or package, you can say, which is method injections, and here I will write a test class. Okay, and inside the test class I have a one main method. So I hope you understood the constructor injections. Let's go to our slide, and I hope you understood what is the constructor injections. So this is the part only is a constructor injections, initializing a object, dependence object with the constructor, that is called a constructor injections. If you go to the method injection, you can see here it involves passing a dependence as a argument to the method that need them. Okay, this is often used when a single method required a specific dependency. So constructor injection we are using when entire method have to call with that object. Okay, if you go back, so with that object, user repository object, we are calling all my methods. Maybe I am able to call this method, add user, get by user ID, those all methods. But here only you can go with the method injection if you have to use only one method as a injections. So you can go with the method injection, and you can pass your object as a method, and you can use it. Okay, so this is often used when a single method require a specific dependency rather than an entire class needing it. Here is the example. For example, we have a one email service is a class. Email service having a one method called send email. So it will take recipient, content, email sender, right? Who is the email sender, and logic to send the email using the provided email senders. Okay, this is the logic we have to write. So this is the email send methods, send email. So what this method required? This method required to send the email. Okay, and here we have a one interface which is email sender. Email sender is a interface. Email sender having a one send method which is taking the recipient or content and it will send the email. If you go to here public class SMTP email sender implementing the email sender, and they are providing the implementations of it. Okay, and they are writing a logic. So here if you see, we are passing email sender, this is the interface, email sender as a what method, send email, and we are calling this method which is send. Okay, if you see here, we are creating a email services, and in the email services we are creating a email sender, and then after we are passing it. Okay, and then after we are calling a method, that time we are passing a email sender object. Okay, I will do that. No issue. I will go to the here and I will create one class. Let me create one class. Can I create a Bob? Yeah, that is fine. No issue. So I'm going to create here one class. The class name is called email sender. Okay, email service or email sender. So I'm going to create a email sender. Email sender. Email sender is a one of the class. Okay, this is not a class. This is the interface. And this interface having a one method called send email. Okay, so email name is void send, and it will take two parameters, which is first is content, and second is string receiver. Yeah, recipient you can write, content or recipient. So this is the two parameters they ask. Okay, and based on these parameters we have created one more class which is called class SMTP. This is the one provider, class SMTP email sender. This is the one type of the provider, email provider. He will implements email sender. Okay, this is the interface. So make sure he have to override those unimplemented method which is send methods. So what he will do, he will to provide the implementation. So what he will do is he will write is out email send to who is the recipients. We can receiver, we can write a receiver name. Okay, and then after, okay, we can write message, and message is this one which is content. Right, we are sending this message. Let me maximize it. In the test class only I have written all those class. No issue, you can write like that also, but that is not a good practice. Okay, in the real time we are dividing all those classes, interface separate. Okay, so like that you have to write. So we have a email sender having one send method. We have to implement whatever the providers we have, they have implemented, they have written a code. Okay, and what we have to done, we have a one email service. So this is also a class. So let me write a class email service, and email service will provide one method, okay, which is send method. Okay, public statics void send email method. Okay, but this will take three parameters. Okay, while sending an email, two parameter is this one. Okay, two parameter is this one, and one more last parameter which is who is the provider. So provider is nothing but email sender. Who is the email provider, which is email sender. So email sender, we have right here class, let me email sender. Okay, so whenever you call this method, you have to pass this object which is email sender. So email sender is what? It's an interface, so we can't create an object of this interface. So whoever the implemented classes we have, which is providing a email service or email, they are sending the email, those have to send here. So that is called a dependency injection by a method. Okay, let me complete it. So what we are going to do here is, I am going to call email sender here, email sender, with the help of the email sender, this object I got, right? So once I got this object, with the help of this object only, I will call send method and I will send content or receivers. Once I send it, our task is done. But while testing, whatever the peoples are using this my email service, maybe, so they have to create a object, otherwise they can directly call email service dot send email, but they have to provide here what is the content, what is the receiver. Okay, so content is hello team. Okay, and who is the receiver? So Adit, and who is the provider? So here we have to send the object of this provider, which is email sender. We have created a class, so SMTP email sender. So what we can do is, here we can write new SMTP email sender. Okay, so directly we have created the object and we have sent it. You can create object here and again you can send it the reference, it is also fine, but directly I have sent it. Okay, so once you send this object, it will call the email, send email. Okay, so it will go to this email will take content or receiver which you have passed here, and this is the object will come here, email sender, and that is called a dependency injection. So while passing a object with the specific method, that is called a method injections, and with that parameter only which we have sent inside the method, we are calling the next methods, which is send method. So once you click on that and if you open this, you can go to the send method, and through the send methods we can send the object. Let me run this code. Okay, but let me minimize first and let me run. So once I run it, you can see the output. What is the output? Email sent to Adit, message hello team. That is the message, correct? So why I have taken method injections and why I have taken the constructor injection? What is the difference between them? So constructor injection is for in the class having a multiple method and multiple method required those dependent class object, then definitely you can go with the constructor injection. If one specific or two specific method only need those dependent class object, then go with the method injections. That is the difference. Understood? Method injection or constructor injection, both are only sending and passing an object by a method or constructor, and then after invoke the corresponding methods. Okay, let's see here. In this example, the send email method of the email service class require a email sender. Okay, right? Send email method of the method email service class required a email sender dependency, right? Which is passed as a method argument. The SMTP email sender class implement the email sender interface and it is used to send the emails. Correct? Both approach follow the dependency injection principle, but choice between them depends on the context. Constructor injection is more suitable where class has a multiple method and that rely on the same dependency. They are dependent on the same dependency, it means. While method injection is useful when a specific method require a dependency, only one or two specific method required, then go with the method injections. I hope guys you understood in the better way what is the constructor injection, what is the method injections, what is the dependency injections. Okay, let me go back and I will show you. If you don't want to pass the object like that, maybe so many people will get confused. So what we can do is, here you can create an object. Okay, and the object is nothing but what? Email sender. So email sender or sender we can write, and here we can pass the sender. Okay, sender, that's it. So once you passed it, this object is created and this object is also passed, and it will work as expected. Okay, so anything you can do, no issue in that. So just you have to change here Aditya or Prince, whatever you want to send the message, you can send it. If you want to use the loop, you can use the loop, and you can send it to the multiple person also. Okay, so this is the one of the design patterns I have told you, that is called a dependency injection. So I hope you understood. In the same class I have written each and everything. You can write separate class also, no issue in that guys. Okay, thank you so much.